To whom it may wait a minute. 2 videos within a year? And you're back here somehow? I must say I'm impressed by you clicking through my channel. You have found the second video I've created about Ghost Recon Breakpoint PvP. But if you want to talk about the state of Ghost War, let's talk about the big elephant in the room, Wildlands. Okay, I'm going to preface this by saying I've only spent about 40 to 60 hours in Wildlands PvP. I came in after the game was polished and a little bit after the year 2 pass had already been announced. I will say this, if you're coming from Wildlands, it will go one or two ways. You will hate it, or you will adapt and you will understand it's virtually the same PvP, just a little bit faster. Wildlands has the same sort of issues I see in Breakpoint. Also the same sort of issues I see in other games' PvP modes. Glitches dominating for weeks, waiting for a patch. In my honest opinion, some of the small gripes I had about PvP in Wildlands might not bother others. Mines, for instance, were a big problem. Just with the flow of combat in general, the game made you focus your attention on the center of the screen, so when running, looking over your shoulder, looking around bushes and trees, you would step on a mine, no skill involved, just an auto kill for the enemy player. I never really liked that in video games. The game was also way too drone dependent. Felt like there was a drone going up every slowdown of the fight. But these are just my personal gripes, so I understand if it never really bothered you. Not having a class is a deal breaker for some, and I get that too. For me though, I almost always exclusively gravitate towards assault rifles in games, so this is basically the same game for me. Anyway, if you get past all those changes from Wildlands, we can get into the meat of this discussion, the state of Ghost War in Breakpoint. There's a semi-specific order I want to tackle these issues, so let's go one by one. This is a hot topic in the PvP community. Obviously, Wildlands, this was not an issue. The camera was locked onto the player. Here in Breakpoint, the camera is allowed to rotate while you're sprinting, meaning you are allowed to look before you turn, making some animations really hard to tell where the enemy player is going because he is able to turn on a dime like Barry Sanders. This is a problem. In The Division 1, another Ubisoft title, had this same exact problem, and it lasted the entire game's life cycle. It has something to do about the tick rate of the servers and how fast players move. I will save the technical jargon for someone that knows more, and unless movement animation is addressed or the camera being locked, there will only be small fixes, but the problem is never truly eliminated. Some small changes I have seen from Reddit and the forums is take out speed perks from the gear and the weapons and the skills. Now while I do agree this will help curve the speed of the game, moving side to side will still be an issue until they make an animation overhaul or they upgrade the servers. This is a problem for anyone trying to jump into PvP in its current state. Obviously Wildlands was slower, but I think there could be a good balance in between somewhere in terms of flow of combat. It's likely the developers will keep attacking this patch after patch to keep the movement down, as we have already had 2 or 3 adjustments to stamina. Currently I think we're close, but we still need a maybe 25 to 50% nerf before we can start attacking the other issues PvP has. Let's move on to item management. That may or may not be for some people who will agree with me. Okay, so I love hero moments in PvP. It is what separates a good match from a great match. You get sweaty. Now I'm not the greatest player in the world. Heck, I've only been playing on PC for a little over a year. But in that regard, between the crazy amount of health packs, adrenaline shots, drones, and grenades, I mean, I'm getting team wipes every other play session playing solo. For myself, I say it's probably way too often. With the game being so fast, if you don't have any health stems on you, you're pretty much a sitting duck on any engagements, because it's guaranteed that the other person probably does have one. You can get a class skill by using adrenaline shots before you even see anybody because there are that many items on the field. In my opinion, that is just way too many, and leads to these long drawn out circle dances where the enemy just looks for cover to take one of his 6 health stems unless you get a headshot on him. I'd say about 25% less items need to be on the field, or, suggested by the community, standardize item loadouts, let us pick the items, give us a certain amount of freedom in choosing. Now that last tip might not happen, but just note that you will never be short of hero moments, because you will have an arsenal of health packs, boosters, drones, grenades, flashbangs, gas grenades, cloaking spray. I mean, listen to what I'm saying. You can stack multiple of these items. It's insane. Don't forget about the class skill. I mean, crap, I almost forgot that, you know. Anyway, it's still fun walking around like a Terminator. Just know that it might not be for everyone. Being stale. Now we are close to 5 months since Breakpoint's release. Obviously, the launch had its issues, to say the least, but I think we can all agree that it's been some time. Currently, the sweatiest loadout usually consists of a PDR or a VHSD, M41A, etc, etc. It's been like this for months. With so much recoil management between all the items and perks, almost every gun feels like a laser beam, meaning only RPM matters in most fights. I use the Tavor Assault, which is on the slower end of guns, and out of my 100 hours or so, I can say I've probably been killed by that weapon maybe once or twice. Not that everyone needs to be using what I'm using, but it also highlights the problem of weapon diversity and how stale the gameplay is getting. Along with weapon diversity, we need to talk about modes and maps. I miss Hostage from Wildlands. I also don't understand why some maps have some modes and others do not. Skullport is an amazing level, but why is Sabotage not on it? Why wasn't that map made with that in mind? What I'm getting at is we need more maps and more modes, but mostly more modes to keep the limited amount of maps fresh. That way we can stop having Sabotage 5 missions in a row from happening. I think the game would be better suited with some indoor maps if anybody is listening. I'm sure they're not, but if anyone is listening, we need some indoor maps. I feel like indoor maps will bring back this close tactical feel instead of hiding in the bush gameplay that we've seen. There are plenty of bases on the PvE side of the game that I think could be a good starting ground for any indoor PvP maps. If we had a couple indoor maps, this could be the SOCOM of 2020, and I honestly believe that. We have a long way to go until we can call this PvP something a wide audience would enjoy, but we are taking our time with the updates.
Drone out. Marking an enemy. Target down. Target down.
So let's give a quick rundown of the PvP. It has good bones, basically the same like Wildlands, outside of no classes and faster moment-to-moment gameplay. Servers are, in particular, not able to handle how fast players are able to move, so sometimes it may lead to some strafing, which may or may not get you totally tilted when dealing with enemy players. Even when you get past the servers not able to keep up with the enemy players, you do have to deal with the endless amount of items that an enemy player might have, such as drones, stim packs, etc. The fight truly never over until that health bar hits 0. Also, at the same time, you could be a one-man Terminator yourself, taking out 4-man squads, never dying, John Wicking. But I digress. Even when their health bar does hit 0, will all of this keep you playing? Will there be frequent updates? Maybe. But I can only use what we've seen up to this point as evidence. And after 4 months, almost 5, not much has changed. But we need to see stamina updates at least once a month. But even after all of these problems, I still love the PvP. Can I put in another 100 hours? Maybe, if the updates get more frequent. This is essentially the only PvP I play at the moment, so I want to see the best version of itself. And all I have is good intentions, and that's what I'm going to leave this video with. So please follow me on Twitter. I would love to get to know more people that also enjoy Ghost War PvP, as well as let me know what you think in the comments below if you think I missed anything as far as the state of Ghost War PvP at the moment in Breakpoint. And have a good day, guys. I really appreciate the time you guys took to watch the whole video. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a good one, guys.